Hello there. How are you today? Hi. Hold on. Gotta make sure I'm actually in. Whoa. Okay. I guess it would help if I took off my parking brake, huh? I'm like, I don't know. I am here at the OB. It is like 12:30, and it's been a long day. I couldn't sleep last night. I get off of work at 1:30. I went to bed trying to go. My plan was to go straight to bed. I couldn't do that. I was up till about 3 and just trying to get myself to sleep so that I would not miss my appointment. But through all of that, all I could think about was, am I going to oversleep and sleep through my alarms and not make my appointment? So that was my fear. So I was like, okay. But I finally fell asleep. And then this morning I had a really hard time getting up. And normally I like to shower before I go to... Okay. Sorry. Normally I like to take a shower before I go to my appointments, my doctor's appointments. Even though I hate to shower in the morning, I prefer to shower at night and go to bed clean, especially because I don't like to go outside with my hair wet. But I also don't want to go to a doctor's appointment where they may need to be checking places and I not be freshly washed. I didn't think today was going to be a day where I had to get poked and prodded. So I was like, I couldn't get up. I couldn't get out of bed. So it didn't, I was like, I don't have a choice. I have to go. I'll apologize when I get there. And I cleaned up as best as I could, but I just didn't wake up in time, and that's just the truth. I couldn't get up this morning. I had the worst time ever. I should have left my house at 10:15. I didn't leave it until 10:30. I thought my appointment was at 11, but it was at 11:15. So that was okay. But anyways, so I went in and I seen my OB, and she was like, I just want to see how you're doing. How do you feel? Like, are you feeling different? And I was like, yes, I feel like a whole new person. And I said, and it's so weird because I was just talking about this yesterday with David about just how different I am now. Like, before, when I was in the worst of it, he would leave work and I would be in bed, right? He would leave for work and I would be awake, but in bed. He would come home from work and I would be in that same position. Not because I didn't get up throughout the day. Like, I only would get up to pee. I would go back to bed. I didn't have the energy to get out of bed very long. And there were days where I would get out of my bed and I would go sit on the couch and I would fall asleep on the couch. And then I would wake up to use the bathroom and then I would go back to bed. And I didn't shower yet. I didn't cook. I hadn't eaten. Hadn't done anything because I had no energy. And I told her now I'm having entire days before I even start my work shift. Right? Like right now I'm here at the doctor. I got up early, went to the doctor. Then I'm going to go home right now and I'm going to make dinner and I'm going to make myself something to eat. And I'm probably actually going to stop at the grocery store because last night I made David sandwiches for lunch for today and we no longer have any lunch meat. So I think I'm going to stop and pick up some lunch meat so that I can make sandwich, so that in case he wants a sandwich, he can make one. It's been kind of hot. He actually lost the plug to his lunchbox because I have him a lunchbox where, I make him hot food. We put it in the box and he can plug in his lunchbox into his car plug, right? The lighter. He can plug it into the lighter in the car and it'll heat his food, right? And so he plugs it in before he's going to have lunch. Usually about a half an hour it'll take for it to get all the way hot. Depending on what it is, sometimes 45 minutes. So he plugs it in around 10, thinking he'll have lunch around 11. And the food is nice and hot, but he lost the plug when he changed jobs and we can't find it anywhere. So we've been making things, that he can just eat cold, right? Or he can go to the gas station and use their microwave, but his lunchbox, it's metal, like it has like a stainless steel bowl inside of the lunchbox. You can't put them in the microwave, so it's just extra stuff for him to take with him if he has to do that. So we've been making him sandwiches just because it's easier, so he doesn't have to go find a microwave, because he works out in construction sites where there isn't, heating elements or, refrigeration out there. And I have the energy to do it now, and I didn't before. I wouldn't have been able to before. And there were days where my medication would be ready, and it's only a mile away, and I did nothing all day long, but I could not get out of bed to go get it. And David would call me on his way home, and I would ask him, hey, my medicine's ready, can you go pick it up? And he would go pick it up for me on his way home after he just worked all day long, but I didn't have the energy to do anything. And she said that's, it's a normal function of somebody who has their iron levels, even higher than where I was, like in the 6 and 7, which is where I started before I got really bad, and I ended up even worse than that. I was like in the 2s. And she was like, people get used to that and they think it's normal. It becomes their new normal. And I said, and it was normal for me. Like I've never known my body outside of that, like it's just such a weird experience. And we are going to go up on my estradiol because I'm on the lowest possible dose, which is 0.5. So we're going to go up to 1, because she asked how I was doing, and I told her, it's working well, I think, because I'm no longer waking up in a puddle of sweat, which I was waking up every single day in a puddle of sweat. And I would wake up, not just in the day, but I would wake up throughout the night just sweating profusely. And my ears were constantly itching. Now it's just like, a couple times a day. And it's not really bad. Like before, it was like relentless, where it was like so annoying that like sometimes I would scratch so much that I would even like cut myself. Like I would be bleeding in my ear because it was just so irritatingly itchy. And now I don't have that anymore, that issue. Like yes, it still itches, but it's not relentless. Yes, I'm still having hot flashes at night mostly than anything else, but it's not as bad as it was. So everything is better, but nothing is no longer, if that makes any sense. So we're going to go up to 1 milligram. She told me, the medication that I have right now, that I don't have to throw it out, that however much I have, I could just double them. So because I'm a half, I could take 2 every night instead of the 1. And then she's sending me in a prescription for the new medication to be the 1. So that's great. And then I'll come back in 3 months and see how that works. She said that there's 3 different doses. There's half a milligram, 1 milligram, and then 2 milligrams. So I'm going to be in the middle dose. And then we'll see how that works. And hopefully that'll be my sweet spot. And I was like, okay. And we talked about how, how grateful I am to her that she was willing to hear me. And she was willing to seek a solution for me instead of just saying, girl, you're fat, lose weight, which is what every other doctor would say. Not in those words. Yes, some doctors have said it like that. But, most doctors would tell me the answer to all of my profuse bleeding issues were I needed to lose weight. And I told her, that may be a contributing factor to why it is as bad as it is. However, why didn't anybody ever ask me about my family? I would tell them, my mom is one of 12 siblings. 9 of them are sisters. 9 are sisters. All 9 of my aunts, including my mother, all have had to have a hysterectomy for the exact same reason. Every single one of us would bleed like savages. We were throwing fibroid clots out like like it was, you know, the little gremlin guy who's giving birth to all the little baby gremlins. And I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but when he was popping out those little gremlins, that's how it was. That's how we were popping out these blood clots, you know. And all of us were severely anemic. All of us were getting, you know, like these blood issues, and all of us. Why didn't anybody tell me, you know, yes, your weight may be a contributing factor. However, it might also be related to a genetic issue. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever bothered to see if there might be something else besides the elevated estrogen in my body because of the fact that I'm overweight, you know. And she did, and she listened to me, and that, like, I can't even explain to you. I have a friend right now who's also a coworker who thinks she might have PCOS. She's, I think, 30. And she was telling me the other day, she thinks she has PCOS, you know, all these things. And I told her, girl, go to the OB. And so she tried to make an appointment. She recently moved out of town, so she doesn't live in Fort Worth anymore. But I told her, you know, I highly recommend my doctor. I absolutely adore her. I have seen many OBs in my life, and she's the only one who ever cared to even talk to me about the possibility of PCOS, and then subsequently diagnosed me with PCOS due to my labs and, you know, all of the ultrasounds and everything. You know, I'm confirmed a PCOS haver, right? And no other doctor would ever even entertain the idea that there could be something going on with my body outside of my weight. And I told her, if you're looking for a recommendation, I highly recommend. I know that it's kind of out of the way for you, but, you know, it's not like you're going to go to this doctor even once a month. You'll go to the doctor once. You might go back again in 3 months for a follow-up, and depending on what it is that you got to do, and then you might not see her again for a year, you know. To me, it's worth going out of my way. I would go out of my way for a doctor that I believe is worth it. I would have kept going all the way to Colleyville, which is over an hour drive, to see my dermatologist if she had remained there, but she left. So I had to find another dermatologist. So I might as well find one closer to me, right? And I was seeing my psychiatrist that was almost 2 hours away, but I only had to see them once every 6 months because it was far. But, you know, once you find somebody that you trust and you feel is listening to you, why would you not continue to seek their care, even if it is a bit of the way out of the way, right? If you have the ability to do that. If you don't have the ability to do that, I get it. Don't listen to me. But this is what I was talking about. I told her, look, I know that it's a drive, but you come out here anyways. So you might as well just make a day of it, you know, and whatever. But I adore my OB, and I'm very grateful that I met her. And I told her today, you know, I had wrote her a card the last time I seen her, thanking her for hearing me and thanking her for helping me and you know, for giving me a new lease on life and a new outlook, because honestly, I didn't even want to continue the way that I was going. And she also commented about my weight, and she told me, you know, you've lost 80 pounds since the last time, you know, since your first visit with us. And I told her, yeah, you know, and I talked to her about what I'm doing and all of these things that she told me, you know, like, how are you dealing with, you know, like the mental side of it? I told her I'm going to therapy, and, you know, I'm working on it. And I told her my background, you know, like every time in the past, I told her how my baseline has always been like 300 pounds, like where I'm at now. Actually, I'm smaller right now than my baseline. And I have been in that for, you know, so many years that whenever I would lose weight in the past, hearing all of the compliments and all of the questions and how are you doing it and blah, 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 always made me flip out, and I would sabotage my progress. and I would just gain the weight back, right? And I told her this time I want it to be different. And I explained to her how I know that if I don't make changes, permanent, long-lasting changes, I am 150,000% not going to see 50 years old. I know that. I know with all of my health issues, all of my, mobility issues, my back, my migraines, I know that making 50 years old is an impossible feat if I do not make long-lasting changes. And those long-lasting changes have to come from in here. And she was like, I'm so glad that you're doing that. She was like, I was going to suggest it if that's not something you were doing. And I'm so glad to hear that that is something that you are doing, because it's so important that we are able to seek the help that we need appropriately when we need it. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, yeah, and I told her my goal is to hit 100 pounds down from starting Mounjaro. So I need to be 263 pounds, because 264 would be exactly 100 pounds, and I want to be under 100 pounds by June 19th. And she was like, girl, you'll do that in a heartbeat. She's like, you're this close already, and we're barely in March. And I was like, wow, okay, somebody believes in me. This is kind of cool. And I told her it was like, really, I don't know, like, this is really different for me. I explained to her how I went to Japan, and I realized that even at 235 pounds, which is still big, but way smaller than where I started, that it was 115 pounds down that I had lost to be at 235 pounds, right? And I realized that the world isn't made for big people. And it's not about being discriminatory in any way, just people weren't big in that way in those days. So I just seen a cat run across, but I don't know where he went, and I don't want to run him over. Where'd he go? But he was booking it, so it's probably long gone. But I don't want to fall into stuff like that. I just don't. So I want to be able to travel the world. That's why I work for an airline. That's why I do it. I do it because I want to be able to go everywhere that it goes, and explore and adventure and find new places and see new things, and just be able to do these things, not just financially, but physically. And the stamina it takes to be out there doing these things is something I couldn't have done before. I didn't have the stamina before to go and explore the world. I didn't. As much as I would like to believe that I did, I didn't. And I'm changing that. And I'm creating that. And I'm getting myself to a place where I will have the stamina to do that. And I will physically fit into places that I wouldn't have been able to at this size, or I can't in this size. I know that I've come a long way. I know that I'm 197 pounds down. I know that. But being my size, that's not enough. I need to continue to do this. I need to keep losing the weight and keep getting it off and get to a healthy weight for my size, for my age and my height. And I don't know what that number will be. I do have a goal range of 125 to 135. When we get closer to that, because I am going to get close to that, when I get closer to that, I'll reevaluate what that goal range should be. But for now, that's where I've settled. I mean, I'm only 5'2.5", I'm very short. So I no longer have big boobs. I lost them. Those were one of the first things that went away. Which is weird because it's never been the case before. Every time I've lost weight in the past, it's always been from everywhere else, and I've always had the boobs. But I told her, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad about me living here. One of the good things is I hardly know anybody. So because I hardly know anybody and I hardly ever see anybody, nobody ever makes comments. If I would have been home and doing this, I would have been hearing it left and right. I would have been hearing it nonstop. And because I knew so many people, and even just walking down the street, I would see somebody that I knew. And because I'm not in a place where I know a bunch of people or very many people at all, I know a handful of people, and they never see me. I never see them. So there's no comments to be made. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I see David every day. But when you see somebody every single day, you don't recognize those changes the way that somebody who rarely sees you does. It's like a shock to see somebody from one day and then you don't see them again for, 3 months and they've lost, 30 pounds in 3 months. You notice it. But when you see somebody every single day, you may not notice it. And I know there's a lot of you guys who relish in people making comments to you about you losing weight, and you like the praise and you like the comments and the congratulations and the compliments and the questions. I'm not one of those people. Will I ever be? I don't know, but I'm not one of those people. I don't like it when people make comments. I don't like it when people ask questions. I don't like it when people bring it up. And I've talked about this before, where I was watching a YouTube video one day about somebody who lost, significant amount of weight. And they came to realize that when people would make comments to them about it, it made them feel as though they weren't loved before. Like when her dad or her mom, I don't remember the story, but when her parent would make comments to her about how she's lost weight and how good she looks and blah, 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 it made her feel like she was unloved before. Like the weight loss is what's making her be appreciated and loved now. And it dawned on me that I think that's sort of what I go through too. Like hearing my mom, because my mom's notorious for it. Oh, you've lost so much weight, blah, blah, blah. Keep going. You look great. You look so much better. You're so pretty now. And I know she means it to be nice. And I know she thinks that it's helpful. And I know she thinks she's being, like giving me compliments. But really, it doesn't feel that way to me. And there are people who are like me who don't like to hear it. And that's probably some of the people that you're dealing with. If you do like to hear it and you do enjoy those things and you do get upset because there are people who are not making those comments to you, maybe think about the fact that maybe they're like me and they don't like it, and they wouldn't like it if somebody made those comments to them. So because they don't like it, they just don't do it to you because they believe you may not like it and they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. It's not about you not have doing a great job, because you're doing a great job and you are making great strides in your progress to become healthier. But they don't want to make you feel like you're less than just because you've lost weight and now you're appreciated and you were not before. Maybe. I don't know. But if you are one of those people who relish in that and need that, maybe talk to the people in your life and let them know, hey, I need this sort of confirmation from you that I'm doing a good job, that you do notice that it's coming off. You do notice that I'm smaller. You do notice the weight loss. I need that. And if you are like me and you don't need that, welcome to the club, because I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable hearing those things. I don't know. I don't know. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see, huh? But I am working on it through therapy. I am discussing it. I am, trying to figure out where it all comes from. I have a feeling I know where it comes from, and I've talked about it before where, I was 9 and I was already a very developed person. I already had, a B-size breasts. I've been this height pretty much even then. If I was shorter then, it was not by much. I've always been the height that I am pretty much. And I've always been bigger and more developed and always looked older. So people thought I was an adult. And so men would make comments to me and they would comment on my body and be inappropriate with me. And it made me feel really gross and it made me feel really scared. And it made me feel like I wanted to hide from that. And I didn't want that sort of attention. And to this day, I still don't like that attention because it brings me back to being, that kid who felt afraid of those men and what they are capable of doing. And I'm working through that. I am, because I don't want to sabotage myself. And I know that these changes that I'm making have to last forever, because if they don't, and I go right back to where I'm at now or bigger, I don't have much time left. I don't have much time left. And it's a privilege to get older. And it's a privilege to go through menopause. And it's a privilege to get to 50. But I don't want to suffer through it. It's a privilege to get older and it's a privilege to get to these things, but it's not mandatory to suffer. I don't want to suffer. So that's why I am taking steps to become a better me. And that's why I'm taking steps to lose the weight and to lose the baggage in my head and to lose the fear I have of attention, men, I don't know, whatever else is in there. You guys have to understand that I don't talk about it much anymore, but I do have some mental health diagnoses that are not very conducive to always making great decisions, right? And I know that it's kind of like in vogue now. I know it's kind of like the it thing to have like mental issues, but it's never been for me. It's not like I'm excited to have these things. I'm excited to know that the things that I go through have a name. And if I choose to become medicated for them again, I can. But I have decided to go off all of my mental health medications so that I can work through therapy with a clear head, because a lot of those medications made me feel kind of dead inside. I didn't feel like me. I felt off. And how can I know if what I'm doing through the process of therapy and the coping skills that I'm learning and those other things that I'm trying to do are working if I have no feelings towards anything? Yes, it helped with the depression, and it helped with the anxiety, it helped with the panic attacks, it helped with, the impulsivity, the manic episodes. It helped with those things, but it helped too much. It put me in a position where it was too much. And I never had any like real help with my impulsivity, but it made me more careless, which was already a problem that I had. I was already one of those people who were very careless. And I was already...
Could you try again?
Oh, shut up. Nobody's talking to you. I was already in a position where, one of those things would cause me to put myself in positions that were not safe. It was part of the impulsivity, you know? But I'm working on doing better, and I'm doing that without medication, and it's been hard, but I know I can do it. And then if one day I need to go back on, I will, but at least I will have tried to work through the issues instead of just being like, the medication made me better, you know, because medication can help, but it's not going to help me work through those things, if that makes any sense. I have to work through those things, you know. And I would still go, you know, do stupid things, and I would still be compulsive, and I would still be impulsive, and I would still, you know, do erratic things. And so it would help most of the time, but I was still doing stupid things. And kind of like now, you know, the only difference was I was on the days where I was normal. I wasn't normal because I was like kind of muted. Like, I don't know, I can't explain it. If you've ever been on medication for your brain, you might understand what I'm talking about, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I am diagnosed with these things, and I have been medicated for them, but I am not right now. So when I tell you that I get paranoid about stuff, and you understand that it's irrational, but you can't help it, you just do it anyways, because the anxiety that you get from not doing those things or from doing those things outweigh the fact that you know that it's irrational. It is what it is. So, you know, but yeah. So we're working through this, and my goal is by June 19th, I will have lost more than 100 pounds. Right now we are at, 79 pounds, I think. Let me see. Yeah, right now we're at 77 pounds. So to lose 100 pounds, I want to lose over 100 pounds. Sorry. I want to lose over 100 pounds before June 19th. So I'm at 77 pounds right now. So I have 24 pounds that I have to lose at least. So I have to lose at least 24 pounds in the next few months. I can do it. I can do it. Stick around and watch. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys soon. But in the meantime, let me give you your digital hugs. And I would love to hear all about it in the comments down below. Go ahead and let me know how things are going. Good, bad, ugly. You already know. I want to be there to support you. I want to be there to laugh with you, cry with you, you know, scream with you, whatever it is that you need to do. I want to be there with you. Let's go ahead and throw is there a thermometer? It's hot. Today's supposed to be the hottest day. It's supposed to go up to like 98, I think, today, and then drop right back down. Okay, so sorry. When I was filming in my car, my camera actually overheated because it was just way too hot. So let's go ahead and drop a roller coaster emoji in the comments down below. Helps me know you made it this far, and this has been a wild ride, so it's perfect, right? Also, I want to say, if you are also on medication for your mental health diagnoses and you are contemplating stopping, I am not advocating for you to stop. I am advocating instead for you to speak to your healthcare providers and go over your options with them to decide if stopping would be a good idea for you, even if it's just temporary. Like for me, I spoke with my psychiatrist, my PCP, and my therapist, and we all came to the conclusion that for now, I will continue to be monitored, but I am okay to stop. I weaned myself off. I didn't just suddenly stop, and we will go from there, but I am being monitored by my healthcare professionals. So if you're considering it, please do not just say, well, she did it, I can do it too. I did it through the oversight of my healthcare professionals, and please do not do it on your own without first speaking to your healthcare professionals to ensure that this is something that would work for you. So I adore you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.